Robert Picardo's Doctor just repeated a classic Star Trek Voyager trick during his return in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. The Doctor, Robert Picardo, repeated a trick from one of his most interesting episodes of Star Trek Voyager. Prodigy Season 2 picked up from Season 1 with an action-packed storyline that focused on time travel and the fate of Star Trek's multiverse. The Doctor's role in Prodigy Season 2 marked another point of connection between it and Voyager, with Prodigy being the first time many important members of Voyager's cast of characters have been seen in the franchise since the early 2000s. Although the Doctor's presence in Prodigy Season 2 was a bit smaller compared to the presence of other Voyager characters like Captain Chakotay, Robert Beltran, he still had several memorable moments throughout the season. One of these was a well-executed bait and switch he and Admiral Janeway, Kate Mulgrew, pulled on Essentia, Jamila Jamil, the season's villain who was attempting to start a war between the Federation and her home planet of Solum. The trick came in Prodigy Season 2, Episode 18, Touch of Grey, and mirrored a similar maneuver the Doctor orchestrated in Voyager Season 7, Star Trek. Prodigy repeated a trick the Doctor already pulled off on Voyager. The Doctor disguising himself as Janeway to fool Essentia wasn't the first time he had taken on her visage for an important mission. During Voyager Season 7, Episode 24, Renaissance Man, the Doctor pulled a similar trick by disguising himself as Janeway after she was captured by aliens attempting to steal the USS Voyager's RAP core. Working for the aliens against his will, the Doctor was forced to impersonate other members of the crew to ultimately pull off the plan, including Chakotay and B'Elanna Torres, Roxanne Dawson. Although Touch of Grey and Renaissance Man don't have a lot of other similarities, the moment Essentia found out that the supposed Admiral Janeway she tried to murder was actually the Doctor called to mind a lot of the stunts he pulled on during Renaissance Man. The Doctor impersonated Janeway mostly successfully during both episodes, although Touch of Grey arguably showed that his skills at mimicking her have gotten better over time. The real difference between the two episodes was that the Doctor's particular set of skills was on better display in Voyager than in Prodigy. Star Trek Voyager did a better job than Prodigy of showing the Doctor's skills in general, and especially in Renaissance Man, Star Trek Voyager did a better job of showing just how capable the Doctor was as a character. Renaissance Man was in many ways the culmination of the Doctor's entire character arc on Voyager, given that it was one of the last episodes in the series. The episode pushed the Doctor's abilities to the limit and showed that he could pull off a lot of impressive mental and even physical feats. It was a true heist episode, and the Doctor was shown to be a capable secret agent. In contrast, besides his one moment of deception, the Doctor mostly acted as Prodigy Season 2's comic relief. He didn't have a lot to do besides occasionally advising the former Protostar crew and joking about his various holonovels. While Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 showed the evolution of other Voyager characters like Janeway and Chakotay, the Doctor didn't get much of an update. This was a bit disappointing given how popular the Doctor continues to be as a character and how much potential he had from the end of Voyager that could have been showcased. 11 famous Star Trek ships were built on Earth instead of space. Some of Star Trek's most famous starships were built on Earth instead of in space. Iconic starships like the USS Enterprise D, the USS Defiant, and the USS Voyager were all built at the Utopia Planitia shipyards on Mars. But this is only one wing of Starfleet's extensive shipbuilding facilities. From as far back as the 22nd century, starships have also been built on Earth, where they were launched from the San Francisco shipyards. 3 versions of the Starship Enterprise were launched from San Francisco, alongside other legendary ships from the history of Starfleet. Star Trek Prodigy has revealed that the San Francisco fleet yards are still active and are located further along the bay near Starfleet Academy. Following the devastating attack on Mars that destroyed the Utopia Planitia shipyards, San Francisco is now a vitally important location for rebuilding Starfleet's armada in the late 24th century. Prodigy's Season 2 finale revealed the first ship to be launched from Earth post-First Contact Day, and it joins a long list of legendary starships to be built in San Francisco. The USS Franklin was a contemporary of the Enterprise NX-01 from Star Trek Enterprise, being launched from the San Francisco fleet yards at some point prior to 2151. Commanded by Captain Balthazar Edison, Idris Elba, the USS Franklin served during the Xindi Crisis and the Earth-Romulan War before going missing in 2164. The Franklin played a vital role in Star Trek Beyond, as Captain James T. Kirk, Chris Pine, and the crew of the USS Enterprise had to resurrect the 22nd century starship to save the Yorktown from Krall, Idris Elba, launching it from the surface of the planet Ultimate. The most famous starship to have been built at the San Francisco shipyards is the USS Enterprise, commanded by Captains Robert April, Adrian Holmes, Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, and James T. Kirk. William Shatner. The Enterprise's dedication plaque, glimpsed in Star Trek, the original series, dates the ship's launch year to 2245. The Enterprise was in active service between 2245 and 2285, becoming the most storied Starfleet ship in its history. The Enterprise was destroyed in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, when Kirk initiated the self-destruct sequence to kill a hostile Klingon landing party. The Walker-class USS Shenzhou was built at the San Francisco shipyards and commanded by Captain Philippa Georgiou Michelle Yeoh. It's unclear when exactly the Shenzhou was launched from Earth, but in 2249, Georgiou told Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green, that the ship was old, but she gets us where we need to go. The Shenzhou went down in history as the starship that started the Federation Klingon War when it engaged T'Kuvma's sarcophagus. The Shenzhou was disabled in the offensive, and the crew abandoned ship in 2256, leaving it to drift in space. The USS Discovery was built on Earth and launched around November 2256, commanded by Captain Gabriel Lorca, Jason Isaacs. Star Trek Discovery's hero ship was unique because it had a revolutionary spore drive which provided a faster alternative to warp speed. The USS Discovery's spore drive would have been fitted during construction in San Francisco, as the Crossfield-class science vessel was tasked with field testing the new technology. Following the control crisis, the USS Discovery was considered lost with all hands, and all information about the ship, its crew, and the spore drive became classified. The Kelvin Timeline's USS Enterprise was largely constructed at the Riverside Shipyard in Iowa in J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek reboot. However, the starship's dedication plaque states that the alternate Starship Enterprise was launched from San Francisco shipyards in 2258. The Enterprise in Star Trek's Narada Incursion timeline launched 13 years later than its Prime Universe counterpart due to the ramifications of the destruction of the USS Kelvin. Commanded by Captain Christopher Pike, Bruce Greenwood, and then Captain James T. Kirk, Chris Pine, the Enterprise defeated Nero, Khan Noonien Singh, Ricardo Montalban, and Section 31 before being destroyed over Ultimate in 2263. Commanded by Captain Hikaru Sulu, George Takei, the USS Excalibur was launched from the San Francisco Fleet Yards in 2285, judging by the dedication plaque glimpsed in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. It's unclear if this plaque commemorates the failed attempt to stop Kirk, Sulu, and the rest of the Star Trek, the original series crew from stealing the USS Enterprise, or a later, more successful flight later in 2285. While the Great Transwarp Experiment was a dud, the USS Excelsior became a design classic, and Starfleet continued to build Excalibur-class starships into the 24th century. Clearly, the Enterprise A was transferred from the San Francisco Fleet Yards to Space Dock 1 prematurely. Star Trek V: The Final Frontier revealed that Captain Montgomery Scott, James Doohan, had to oversee several weeks of repairs after a disastrous shakedown cruise. It was hard not to think that the Enterprise's flaws were a punishment for Kirk and the crew for destroying its predecessor.